So hello guys, what's up and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's me, your girl barrister Nezevill, and this is Nezevill. So today is another chit chat video with lots of germs, and today we're going to be talking medicals in the abroad, medicals in Canada, especially medicals in Alberta. Okay, you guys know that it is very important that we come here and share these things. There's so many information that I'm privy to now that I didn't have when I was back in Nigeria that would have better prepared me for a lot. So the more information we share out there, the more useful information we share out there, the more we get from those that have more experience, and the more we live for those that have less than us. So in today's video, we're going to be discussing healthcare in Canada. Is it really messed up? We have been hearing that, guys, you guys are just hailing Yankee. Healthcare in Yankee is not as rosy as you think it is. So I'm going to be discussing all of that, and of course sharing my own personal experience now that I have some experience in that regard. Okay, so I'm going to start from the scratch. I'm going to start from the foundation, the basics, and I think the first thing that we have to discuss when we are talking about medicals and healthcare in Nigeria, when we're talking about healthcare and medicals in Canada, is getting your healthcare coverage, your whatever province you are in, getting the coverage or the health insurance, the government insurance, getting your medical insurance from the government. Okay, so as many people already know, one of the benefits of being resident in Canada is that you have access to free medicals, right? The government kind of subsidize your health expenses. I'm talking from experience in Alberta, which I do not believe will be very much different in dynamics from other provinces. So in Alberta, once you relocate and move to Alberta, amongst the many things that you have to do, trying to find a house, trying to find schools for the children, one of the things that you also have to do is get your Alberta healthcare card, because that number is very important. In fact, there's so many things that you would want to do that they're going to ask you for that your healthcare number. Very important. As soon as we learned it, we started working towards that. So that whole thing, that whole process is done at the registry. There are so many registries scattered all around you. So wherever you are located, you can just go to your Google and search registries around me, and it's going to direct you to one that is close to you. Okay, at that registry, there's so many things you can do. That's where you can register for your driver's license. You can register your company if you're self-employed. You can do your driver's license tests there as well, and of course you can apply for your health card there. So when we go to the registry, there are a couple of documentations, of course, that you have to go with. I remember I went with my Nigerian international passport. I went with my confirmation of permanent residency form. Then I hadn't gotten my permanent residency card. I hadn't gotten the PR card. I was still using the copper R. So I went with that COPR. Then of course they gave me a form to fill, or forms to fill, for myself and every member of my family. So I did all of that at the registry, and you do not need to go back there to pick up the cards. It will be mailed to you, then you can laminate it when it's mailed to you. So when that is done and dusted, the next thing that you have to do is to find a hospital, find a family doctor. So how this works is every person is attached to a family doctor. It's not really like that. In Nigeria, we do the same. The difference is that you must not necessarily go to your family doctor. You can still walk into any hospital as long as you have your barcode, right? But over here, you are attached to a particular family hospital, and it is your job to find a hospital that is receiving new patients. Yes, that is one part I didn't know of. So when I just got here, after I got my health card, I just searched for a hospital that is close to me, and I was thinking that it is cast on stone. You'll be registered there and you can go there whenever you want to. No, it is subject to availability. So we called the first hospital, called second, called third, and all of them were telling us, oh sorry, we are fully booked, we're not accepting new patients. For months we didn't find any hospital close to our home that was accepting new patients. So that is one bottleneck that you might experience, but as long as there's no emergency, as long as there's no issues, you'll be fine. You would eventually find one. Several factors might influence your decision of what hospital that you might want to choose. First, for many people, is proximity. Of course, you want to pick a hospital that is very close to your home, so you don't have to travel to see a doctor, right? So proximity is number one. Then for some people is also race. Yeah, some people prefer to pick hospitals where they have doctors that know them, doctors that have, understanding and experience of the kind of issues that they might have. Some Indians like to pick Indian doctors, some Nigerians maybe might prefer Nigerian doctors, so some people might prefer their own people, but some others are like, indifferent, any doctor, it's okay. Then another thing that might influence the hospital or doctor that one might be going to is maybe gender. Some females would prefer a female doctor. They are not comfortable exposing their bodies to a male doctor, so that it also could be an influence. So all of these things put together, you put it into consideration, and you call these hospitals, you ask them if they have a spot. They will ask you the number of family members you have and all of that. If they do, they would accept you and say, oh yes, we have a space, please come over. So how it worked for us when we got one, we didn't actually get a hospital that is very close to us. So in the meantime, we picked one that was like, maybe should I say 15 minutes away or 10 minutes away. Then eventually, when we found one that is closer in proximity, we moved. So you can always move your hospitals if you're not comfortable with your previous hospital, or maybe you found somewhere that is better. So when we got this family doctor, they invited us to the hospital to have like a first time meeting. We and the doctor got to know it ourselves, asked us questions, and even sent us for blood work. He recommended a full thorough body test, body check, MRI scan, and all of that to ensure that we are good and fine. So we all went for that and opened our files, and we have a family hospital. There's some places there's some things that you want to do, they'll ask you to put the details of your family doctor, your family hospital. So yes, now one thing that is very important to note is that this healthcare coverage, or should I call it insurance, that the government provides you as a permanent, did I address this as permanent residents? Yes, we came as permanent residents. So yes, without a question, permanent residents and citizens, of course, are entitled to medicals. But I do not know about students. I think from the last time I researched, I think students whose programs are 12 months and above would have access or qualify to have access to healthcare. But if your program is below 12 months, then it is doubtful. Correct me in the comment section if this has changed or if I am wrong. So students too also have access to free medicals from the government. But when we say free medicals, please do not assume that it is all encompassing, like every of your medical needs will be met by the government. No, just as many medical insurances all across the world, there are things or illnesses we didn't cover, and there are some that are outside the cover. So for the Alberta Health Insurance Program, you would have full coverage for physician services, medically necessary physician services. So if you want to see a doctor, it is free. You do not need to pay for that. That's your family doctor. You can go there whenever there is need, and the government would, handle that cost for you. Some dental and oral surgeries are also covered under the government insurance, and a few other needs like that. But if you need to see a doctor that is not a physician, maybe you need to see some kind of specialist, like you want to see a chiropractor, you want to see a nutritionist, a psychologist, a physiotherapist, or you need to see an acupuncturist, the cost for consulting with these specialists are not covered under your government insurance, okay? Even the cost of getting maybe new eyeglasses, even if it's medicated glasses, the cost of maybe dental routines, you need to wash your teeth, you need to check your teeth and all of that, the cost of ambulance services, so many services will not be covered by the government, and that is where third-party insurers come in. I'm going to explain that, or you have to pay out of pocket. So while the government is covering for some of your care, when you start working, most times your employers would offer you some coverage as well, and that is where those things are not covered by the government will then be covered by your employers. Maybe you as the wife or the husband whoever is working, or even both of you. You can have separate employers covering for both of you, so you can always, you know, match it up here and you don't have to pay out of pocket. But when you just land and you don't have a job, God forbid, if there's any need, even medication, prescribed drugs, most prescribed drugs are not covered by this Alberta insurance. You have to pay out of pocket. And that's why you see some Nigerians, when they are coming, they'll come with their drugs, their cough syrup, painkillers, all those things that they know that they use on a daily, because they don't want to come immediately and start spending Canadian dollars when they don't have a job yet for all these recurring needs, like all those menstrual cramps, headaches, fever, and all of those things. That's why some people come in with their, you know, little medication, because medication is not covered by the Albertan insurance. So having spent some time here and also gotten the experience here, if I want to put where I'm coming from to where I am now in comparison, I think the first one that would stick out for me is the fact that the government is involved in the health care of its citizens or its people, right? Back then in Nigeria, where I'm coming from, of course, there have been several bills and legislation. In fact, there has been several budgets in the past, because I worked with HMO, so I'm privy to all this information. There has been several moves by the government to, you know, subsidize healthcare and give government healthcare insurance to its people. But, you know how the system can be. One person can just come and twat the whole dream or embezzle stuff. So it has not really kicked in that way. We still have a lot of Nigerians either depending on HMO from their company or paying completely out of pocket. And that's why we say in Nigeria, just an illness away from your whole life savings. Just one sickness can wipe off your 100 million naira in 1 month, and that is quite unfortunate, you know. But over here, the government at least subsidizes, at least comes in and, you know, makes the weight lighter for you. But with my experience in Nigeria, yes, I've always had HMO where I was working. Even when I worked in the bank, we had good HMO. When I left the bank and the other place where I worked to, I got HMO too. And my husband too always has very extensive HMO coverage. In fact, even international coverage from where he works. So we can combine it. I can choose to use this one today in this hospital and use my own in the other hospital. So we're fully 100% dependent on private HMOs from our employers. But here we have the government also, you know, stepping in and playing a role. So that's one major difference. Back in Nigeria also, yes, many people have their family hospitals and family doctors that they like to go to, which of course is very advisable because, you know, they have your history and all of that. But notwithstanding, in Nigeria, you can walk into any hospital for whatever reason. It can be for a second opinion, it can be maybe it's cheaper, whatever reason. You can just walk in randomly to any hospital and get attended to. They'll just open file for you. What's their own? You pay for file, they open file for you. You're sick, they give you bed and make their money. But over here, that needs to be tied to a particular clinic is very high, except for exceptional cases that, you know, then you can now, you know, start moving to another place. But you are expected to be tied to a particular family clinic. You cannot just be jumping from hospital to hospital as it is done back home. Then one major difference that I experienced, which I can even call a culture shock, is visiting a hospital here, especially the big hospitals, not the small family clinics. Visiting these big hospitals without appointment, especially when it's not an emergency, the time that you would wait, oh my god, it takes a lot of time to be attended to. It's not back then in Nigeria that when you come, within a few minutes a doctor has seen you. If they don't attend to you in 10-15 minutes, you start shouting at the hospital, where is my HMO? This HMO, where I'm going to tell the HR, we're going to change this HMO. Over here, oh my god, you can wait 6 hours, 7 hours, and you know, you've not been seen by a doctor. A nurse will first see you and appraise you, and you know, and if it's not an emergency, my dear brother and sister, you would wait. You would tire. In fact, you just go home and say, let me just go and manage this sickness and pray to God. So the waiting time is, you know, is crazy, which I can now call an advantage in my country, because, you know, you don't experience that crazy wait time. Even if you do not have an appointment, you can walk into the clinics and, you know, be seen and be cared for. Then another major difference that I have experienced, not just observed, is the admission culture. The admission culture over here compared to what it is back home. Back home, I find that admissions are like some people will say that the hospitals are trying to make money off the HMO or make money off their patients, but you know, any little thing, you're on admission, they've given you bed, they're telling you you have to be on admission. But over here, even conditions that are 5-10 times worse, drugs are prescribed for you and you are told to go home and manage it by yourself. Nobody's just going to give you any bed and admit you anyhow, except it is like a do or die, a dying issue. That's when you might be given admission, unlike back home where, you know, it is very, very common to admit people even for, you know, malaria, fever, you fractured your arm, they will admit you, you're throwing up, they will admit you. Over here, they'll give you drugs, go home and manage that throwing up. Not that, you'll be fine. Then of course, need I mention it? Do I even need to mention it? The quality of equipment is way up there compared to where we're coming from. When you walk into a hospital, the kind of machineries that you'll be seeing, like, Jesus Christ, you've never even seen this before. But you might not be privy to seeing those level of machineries and equipment back home. Hospital equipment, different types of machines, the one checking this ear, the one checking this leg, you know, there's just so much to ensure that, you know, they stay on top of their game. Then the next for me, which is a very big advantage in Nigeria than here, is accessibility. I've mentioned it sort of, but it's worth mentioning again. The accessibility to healthcare, the accessibility to doctors in Nigeria was mwah. You can walk into a hospital as big as St. Nicholas or those, you know, premium hospitals on the islands of Lagos or in Abuja, and you can see a doctor within 20 minutes, as long as you have your money. You can have an issue and you'll be scheduled for surgery that same day. You want to take off your appendix the same day or the next day, breast lump the next day, any, you know, surgeries, you can just have it done. Even if it's not a major surgery, even if it's not a life-threatening surgery, you can get it done instantly. But over here, you might be on the surgery wait list for months. You know, they'll just be managing your situation while you wait. The wait can be crazy. I do not know whether one of the reasons or one of the causes for that is the concentration of doctors on one particular case. Like, we had need to go to the hospital. I'll explain. Like, we had need to go to the hospital for some reason, and guys, we had 7 different medical practitioners on one child. In Nigeria, those 7 people can be split to 7 different patients. But just because of one thing that I would not consider life-threatening, there were 7 doctors, there were nurses. Like, God, I was like, what is going on here? Is anybody dying? They take their time. They do not take chances. The doctor that is supposed to be checking this one will be there. The doctor that is supposed to be checking this one will be there. The doctor that is supposed to be checking that you are smiling will be there in the room. The doctor that is supposed to be checking that you are breathing will be there. You know, so, you know, there's this concentration of medical personnel on a single case to ensure that, you know, there are no mistakes or there are no compromise, and we might have other cases that are less severe kept on the line for a very long time. So that can be an advantage or a disadvantage depending on how you choose to interpret it. Or you might choose to interpret it as a shortage of medical personnels over here. What do you think? Okay, so guys, this is my experience so far with medicals in Port Harcourt or healthcare. Port Harcourt, Nigeria. But how far? They don't need to learn how to use left hand in old age. If I want to refer to a place, I'll say Nigeria or Port Harcourt. Even after how many months, it's difficult for me to know where I am. So this is my experience with healthcare in Canada. But overall, apart from the long wait times and the, you know, inability to just access a doctor how you want, I think it's been an overall good experience. There has been reason for us to go to the hospital for an issue, and the experience, the medical staff, the professionalism, the time they take, they'll ask you questions, your history. Even when you come back the next day for the same thing, they will start asking you the same question. I said, is it within these 24 hours that I discovered that somebody has blood issue in my family? You asked me this thing yesterday now. Oh, Guinea, do you have this? Yeah, this. They are so detailed. They take their time to ensure that there are no mishaps. Like, every life is precious. So I would like to hear in the comment section, if you're here, what has your experience been in the healthcare sector in Canada, in the West, in the US, wherever you may be? Have you had a bad experience? Do you have anything that you believe that can be improved on? Is there anything you prefer or miss back home that you're not getting or you're not seeing over here? Or for you, is it all good? Drop your comments and your experiences down in the comment section. Okay, so others can also read and learn. So guys, yes, we have come to the end of today's video. If you're new here, you're seeing me for the first time, or if you've been watching without subscribing, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, give this video a big thumbs up, drop your comments down in the comment section, and turn on your bell notifications because we have so much more coming your way. All right, don't also forget to follow me on my other channel, NEZEVILLE, where we discuss social issues and trending topics in a fun and scintillating way. All right, thank you so much guys. Once again, it's me, your girl barrister Neze, and this is Neze Pepe Rempe. I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye.